にどうしたんですか?
Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are gonna recap episode 4. But before we get into the recap, please subscribe to my channel. Let's get to the recap. So last week we saw a lot of mishaps or mistakes regarding dance. However, this week we saw a lot more vocal mishap. So I really wanted to start a conversation on vocal mishaps versus dance mishaps. And I don't know, is one worse than the other? Do they both give the same effect to the viewer? Are they equal? All I know is that this week, the vocal mishaps were a huge eyesore or ear sore. I think that was also one of the big reasons why some of these teams may have lost, was because they selected songs that had a lot of importance to the vocal aspect, and because it didn't meet expectations, didn't go too well. For example, as we know, we're continuing with the Connect mission, but we're starting off with the Fiesta team. And unfortunately, Fiesta 2 had some vocal mistakes. If you're the main vocal, your voice is the most apparent throughout the song, and you have the most important vocal part of the song. It could really make or break a performance. But when it is done successfully, boy, oh my god, I gotta say, it feels so refreshing and vitalizing to hear someone hit those notes loudly, confidently, and so perfectly. I tend to forget a lot of the other issues that are going on in the performance because of that moment. And a perfect example of this was from the EXO group with Nonaka Shana. Another big talking point I wanted to discuss was expectations. One of the best feelings I have when I'm watching these types of shows is when there is a redemption. When a group exceeds initial expectations, it just feels way more satisfying to watch when you know they were struggling before and they're killing it in the final performance. You almost feel really proud. Like, I'm not their mentor, I'm not their parents, I'm not even their real life friend, but I just feel so proud of them when I'm watching them succeed. For Fiesta in Team 1, Hwang Xinguao, initially I was really worried. Ooh, girl. However, she practiced non-stop. You could see how badly she wanted to succeed. Did she prove everyone wrong? Her final performance was spectacular. I think that's partly why Fiesta Team 1 ended up winning, because they worked well as a team, and even their weakest link worked hard to make sure they weren't the weakest link anymore. And when every single person has that mindset, I think there's no other option but for them to all do well. However, if you don't exceed those expectations and end up disappointing the judges or the viewers, that leaves a very unsettling, a very 답답해. You just feel like, oh, like something's stuck here. Like you want a little bit more, but you're not getting it. And a good example of this was the EXO group. while they were amazing, skill-wise, they were like definitely above average, and you could tell like these are Avengers, these are all-stars. But I gotta say, I kind of agreed with the judges. I felt not as invigorated watching their performance compared to the other groups. And I think it's because like we already had such high expectations for them. We were hoping for more. Now, when it comes to delivery, I think it's really important to talk about, no matter how talented and skilled you are, really it all comes down to how you deliver in the end for the final performance. So like, regardless if you're the best singer or best dancer or the best looking, it doesn't really matter if you're not delivering on stage. And the biggest obstacle that prevents someone from achieving that is probably nerves. If they have confidence, you kind of forget all about that because they're convincing you that they are good at dancing, singing, and they are the strongest visual. Like, they need to convince us that they are an all-star. And if they can do that, it's over. I felt like in this week's episode, there were like a couple groups who I felt like successfully overcame this and delivered. But honestly, when I look at all the groups within this mission, I think the Twice Team 1 were the most successful. And spoiler alert, I think that's why the judges ended up giving them the Mnet award. Now, I felt like the Oh My Girl, the 5th season, 2 teams probably exemplified what not to do. They really got distracted by their nerves. I think specifically Team 2 showed it more than Team 1. Although I still think Team 1 was affected by their nerves as well. Like, even someone like Kimbora from Team 1, who is a veteran, she still performed and looked like a pro on stage, but she was affected by her nerves. Now, another huge element that goes into play with this is teamwork and communication. Another thing that really helps with nerves is having good teamwork, having good team chemistry with each other, being friends with each other, because then you feel more support and you feel more secure. The biggest drama of this episode was probably with Yoon Taeyeon and the EXO team. So basically what happened was, we could tell, or the judges could tell, that Yoo Daeun was still, like, she was holding something in.
본인들 다 희망한 파트가 됐나요?
She was very hesitant to speak up about how she truly felt.
궁금한 거? 질문? 하고 싶은 말?
네.
I think there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel strongly that there is a better part suited for you, I think you should definitely vocalize that, and you have the right to be given an opportunity to try out for it. But what I had questions about was, why couldn't she bring up this concern with the group before bringing it up with the judges?
그러니까 이런 게 지금 문제인 거예요.
I think it's really important as a team to be honest with each other, to communicate each other regardless. Like, that should happen always with your teammates first. I don't think it would have caused any controversy or caused any arguments or disagreements. I think if she had approached it very calmly and amicably, I think they would have accepted it as well and given her another chance. I also think she didn't give her members enough credit, that they would be open to letting her do that.
먼저 그렇게 말을 해줬더라면 좀 더 나은 상황이 만들어지지 않았을까.
So speaking of the EXO team and Yoo Taeyeon, I wanted to talk about a comment that Sunmi brought up after she watched them perform. She brought up that Yoo Taeyeon, Suruki, and Puyaning, those three, they already have a pretty strong face to begin with, that they don't have to necessarily like exaggerate their strong facial expressions to express that bold seboyo kind of look. So I want to call this segment facial recognition. I always assumed that the stronger or more exaggerated your facial expressions are, the more successful it will be. But what I didn't realize was that every face is different. Every mood or vibe that these groups or girls are trying to express are different. You can't always do the same exaggerated facial expressions for every vibe. Like there are certain vibes that can only be achieved through subtlety. I think it's important to study and analyze and understand your face. Meaning, in conclusion, you cannot just merely copy one another to achieve success. Like you need to find your own way of expressing these moods that fit and best suit your face type. A really good example of this is from the EXO group Kim Soo-yeon. And now the last thing I want to talk about before I go into my top 9 pick is a really super important thing to remember. Have fun. Now, it seems so simple, seems so obvious, right? There are so many other emotions battling within yourself. How can you possibly have fun when you have 10,000 billion things in your mind? We have to learn to just let it go and be present and have fun in the moment. I think the groups that were the most successful, like BTS Mic Drop, and the 17 group, and then when you see someone having fun, you can't help but have fun too watching them. I want to give applause to the 17 team. They had teamwork.
하나, 둘, 셋, 화이팅!
We saw that initially the leader Yoonji, she sacrificed and gave her center part to Maya.
저희 팀이 살기 위해서는 마야가 해야 될 것 같았어요.
Each member shined so brightly. That was the most energetic performance this week. I loved it. One more thing before I go to my top 9 pick. I gotta say that last part of the episode when Sunmi and Tiffany gave a little deep talk to the girls.
수고하셨습니다.
They gave such great advice. They were saying how, you know, they're still young, beautiful, talented. Just because they're eliminated, they shouldn't give up. And that failure is just a part of the process to success. And I think it means even more coming from Tiffany and Sunmi, because these are like, they've been through this too. I wish they could be my 언니. Okay, now, finally, what you have been waiting for, my top 9 picks. Currently, my top 9 votes are Kim Soo-yeon, Shuruki, Izaki Hikaru, Shin Xiaoting, Seo Young-eun, Choi Yoo-jin, Kaoguchi Yurina, Sakamoto Mashiro, and Chai Bing. That wraps up my recap for episode 4. I hope you return for episode 5 next week. Bye!